What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, in today's video, we are covering Solana as its price is about to make a move that will be crucial for the overall outlook of its price, in my opinion, for what could be up to the next couple weeks and possibly even the next few months. So with that being said, of course, let's go ahead and let's just dive right into this thing. Now, I do want to let you guys know that I will be doing a lot of referring to this video that I made this morning in which I gave a crypto market update. We talked about crypto news, we talked about Bitcoin, and just my overall opinion on the market right now. So do go watch that video as I will be referencing it a lot in today's video. But looking at Solana, what we can see is, of course, that our overall outlook on Solana and the thought that we were putting in some type of C wave is still being proven to be true. Over the last couple months, we talked about the idea that we had put in this massive 5 wave to the top side and that we could very possibly go into some type of corrective event that looks like us putting in an ABC correction, A, B, C correction towards the downside. So our whole game plan right now is, of course, still to figure out where do we put in the C wave, because it does seem pretty clear that we put in this first corrective wave A to the downside. We got a very strong impulsive wave to the upside here in the beginning of April that confirms this is the B wave, which very likely then puts us in a position to come down to put in this C wave somewhere around these lower levels. But our goal is to, of course, figure out where that bottom is, how to identify that bottom, and then know when the best time to start going long on this thing is, to be able to figure out, how do we make some gains as we do see recovery. Now, do understand that Solana is not moving on itself solely. It is relying on Bitcoin, so it is important, of course, that you do check out these Bitcoin videos as we do cover that Bitcoin analysis. But let's take a dive into Solana and talk about what is happening on the shorter time frames to give us an idea of if this C wave has bottomed out and if we are going to finally start to work our way back up to possibly set some new highs relatively soon here. So what we talked about in the very last video was going to be the breakdown targets from the rising triangle in which we were in. In the last Solana update I did, we were right here in this little apex, and I told you, if we get rejected off the top side here, there is a strong chance we get pushed to the downside below this level of support, which will then put us into a range to start to visit our breakdown targets. Remember, your breakdown targets off a rising triangle or rising wedge are extremely easy. You look at the times in which you touch the bottom side of the triangle or wedge, and those are your breakdown targets. So we laid out $51, $46, and $41. And what we said was that if we do see the price break this key level of support, I think that you can either, take on a short trade and short Solana from this point down to this point. And had you done that, of course, you did start to see some pretty amazing gains there. Or you can simply just expect to see the price start to work its way back down to some of these levels. Well, what we can see is that if we dive even further into the 1-hour charts, Solana confirmed that these breakdown targets were of significance, because as you can see, the moment we lost 51.92, we came right back up to that breakdown target, and we established it as a point of rejection before continuing towards the downside. This rejection right here means that this is a zone of liquidity and a zone of importance, and that we can expect it to hold up as support or resistance depending on what side of it we are on, of course. So what we need to be paying attention to now is, since we've come down to our first breakdown target, are we now in a position to start finally seeing some growth back up to the upside and maybe even retest that wedge again? Or are we in a position to now start to correct continuously towards the downside, put in what could be the lower high, and then start to get rejected back to $46? That's the focus of today's video. So let me tell you exactly how I'm preparing for that and how I am expecting this thing to go. Well, what we can see right now is that as we did, of course, start interacting with that key level of significance, we put in what could be considered an inverse head and shoulders. If you want it to be a lot more formal, here we go. You can see we had left shoulder, we had the head, and we did have what could be considered the right shoulder there. A little bit more of a slanting inverse head and shoulders, but you do get the picture. Now, these are typically great reversal patterns on the short term. You can see more often than not that they will allow us to see at least a short-term pump before eventually having to come back, find some support, and continue, or before seeing it as a bull trap that does lead to a correction, a continuation to the downside here. Now, not only did we see this overall bullishness happening in terms of a bullish reversal pattern, we did also see a little bit of bullish divergence forming on the charts here, in which we did put in this lower low, we put in this higher low while we were below 30 on the RSI and the hourlies. Both of these things did tell us that there was a strong chance that we could see a short-term reversal playing out. But now that we have this short-term reversal playing out, it is extremely essential to figure out, are we in enough of a momentum, a bullish momentum right now, to get back up to this key level, or is this simply just a bull trap that's going to lead to this correction again? The way in which I'm going to go about this is I'm going to sit back and watch. Now, what my game plan is to say this. I'm not going to go long on Solana until we're capable of breaking back into this ascending or this descending level of support, which was the bottom side of our wedge, right? This bottom side right here. You can see this was our support level on the wedge. And what I'm going to go ahead and say is until we're capable of breaking back above that, breaking back into that zone and not keeping this as a point of resistance, I'm not going to be going long. Now, the reason being is that we can clearly see it is a point of rejection. So even if I was to go long right here, there's a strong chance that although I could look at some type of, 8 or 9% gains there, realistically, if we get rejected off of this again, the likelihood is we are going to get strong pushed towards this $46 level. And I don't want to get caught up accumulating at a time when we're directly below a key point of resistance. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to wait this thing out in terms of accumulation until we're capable of clearing this zone of resistance and reestablishing it as support. Now, if we do work our way up here and we start to get rejected, do understand again, there is a very, very, very strong likelihood that we are going to start to continue back towards the bottom side, in my opinion, down to $46. So the way in which I'm going to play this to the downside is to go and say, at any given point that we do come back down and clear $51.92, I believe there is a strong likelihood that we are going to visit 46. So the trade setup that I'm going to do is simple. I'm going to say this. If we lose $51.92, I'm going to turn on my charts and I'm not going to stop looking at them until I see the interaction that's going to happen at $49.80. As you can see, this is the key zone right here. And what's going to happen is that if we come back down below this level, there is strong likelihood we will see some support or a consolidation here. In the moment that we lose $49.82, that is the point in which I will then start shorting down to $46.27. Shorting from breakdown target to breakdown target has been a key way that I've been making gains, even as this market has been falling. We did one on Bitcoin literally just yesterday morning, in which I opened up a short trade on Bitcoin. I shorted it from 29,000 to 28,880 on 2.5x leverage, picked up nearly a 2% gain in about 32 minutes, and then from there, it was a very easy way to hedge against some of the losses I was seeing that day. Shorting in this market is a fantastic way to hedge against your losses, but it is extremely important that you are going off of confirmations and not just randomly shorting. So the confirmation for me again is that if we come back under 51.92, I'm going to zone in and I'm going to focus. And from there, I'm going to watch 49.82. If we lose 49.82, very, very, very strong likelihood that if we close below this point, that we're going to come back down to 46.27. And that is going to be the short trade that I'm going to take on, and which could very possibly be about 7% on 2.5 to 2x leverage, very possibly could be somewhere between 15 to 20% in gains as we do start to correct down to our next breakdown target. So to summarize, what I'm going to do is while we are on an uptrend, I'm not going to be buying while we are below this key point of rejection. If we clear it and hold it as support, then I will do some accumulating because there is a strong chance we will start to see some growth from that point forward, at least in the short term. If we do start to see the price get rejected there, or simply just start to turn around here, I'm going to start to focus on this 49.82 level. In the moment in which it is lost, I will then be shorting to that 46.27 level to look to take advantage of what could be up to 15 to 20% in gains on just a small amount of leverage. Please do not leverage trade if you don't understand it and you don't have a thorough understanding of how it works. That is simply just my game plan because I have done extensive research into leverage trading to where I know how to minimize my risk and hopefully, of course, try to maximize my gains. So overall, it is a very easy formula. It's a very simple one and a simple setup today on what I'm looking for in terms of going long and going short. I hope you guys do enjoy these videos where I give you just an updated summary of what the price has done and what I'm looking for it to do and exactly the trades that I'm going to take on to take advantage of those moves one way or another. If you do, you can always let me know easily and simply by smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel if you are new. And I will see you all next time. Peace.